Today we are diving into the life and career of Félix Auger-Aliassime, a player who has become one of Canada's brightest tennis stars and one of the sport's true gentlemen. From his beginnings in Quebec, raised by a Togolese father and a French-Canadian mother, to his rise as a teenage prodigy winning junior Grand Slam titles, Félix's story is one of hard work, setbacks, comebacks, and perseverance. He has battled through early disappointments, lifted ATP trophies, carried Canada to historic Davis Cup glory, and even stood on the Olympic podium. Off the court, he has built a reputation for humility, philanthropy, and global appeal. This is the journey of Félix Auger-Aliassime. His roots, his rise, his legacy in progress, and why his best is still to come. Early life and junior career. Félix Auger-Aliassime was born on August 8, 2000, in Montreal, Canada, before moving with his family to L'Anse-en-Lorette, a small town just outside Quebec City. His upbringing was shaped by two cultures. His father, Sam Aliassime, immigrated from Togo and worked as a tennis coach, while his mother, Marie Auger, is French-Canadian. This cultural blend gave Félix a unique perspective from childhood, and tennis was present from the very start. Sam placed a racket in his son's hands when he was only 4 years old, and by the time Félix was 6, he was already competing in local tournaments. Growing up in a bilingual household, Félix became fluent in both French and English. This not only reflected Canada's dual identity but also prepared him for life on the international tennis circuit, where adaptability and communication are invaluable. His natural athleticism, combined with his father's guidance, quickly made him stand out from his peers. Coaches and players around Quebec began to notice that Félix was no ordinary talent. By the age of 12, Félix was already making waves internationally. That year he captured the prestigious Open Super Orrery in France, a competition known for showcasing future tennis stars. His victory marked him as one of the most promising players of his generation. The momentum continued, and in 2015 he partnered with fellow Canadian Denis Shapovalov to win the US Open boys doubles title. The following season he proved himself again by taking the US Open boys singles crown, demonstrating that his power, maturity, and composure extended far beyond his years. By the time Félix concluded his junior career, he was ranked world number 2. Many in the tennis world already believed he was destined to become the next great Canadian player, a rising star capable of carrying the nation's hopes on the global stage. Career highlights. Turning professional is never easy, even for the most gifted talents, and Félix Auger-Aliassime was no exception. Still, he began making history almost before most teenagers his age were finished with high school. At just 14 years old, he became the youngest player in ATP Challenger Tour history to win a main draw match. The win made headlines across the tennis world, with coaches and analysts calling him a prodigy to watch. By 16, Félix had already lifted his first challenger title, displaying the poise and athleticism of a seasoned pro. At 17, he defended another challenger crown, joining an exclusive list of players who had achieved that kind of consistency at such a young age. The tennis world was beginning to take notice, and for good reason. In 2018, Félix made his ATP Tour debut in Rotterdam, testing his game against hardened professionals. While he didn't go deep that year, the flashes of brilliance were clear: his serve, his movement, and above all, his composure under pressure. The following year, 2019, became his true breakthrough season. Just 18 years old, Félix stormed into 3 ATP finals, including a stunning run at the Rio Open where he toppled established names and proved he belonged among the sport's elite. Though he didn't capture a trophy, he walked away with something perhaps more important: the respect of the tennis world. But the road was far from smooth. From 2019 through 2021, Félix reached 8 ATP finals without securing a single title. Critics began whispering about a curse, questioning whether he had the nerve to close out big matches. Headlines emphasized his missed opportunities, and pressure mounted. Yet, through it all, Félix never lost his calm demeanor. He continued to work, to believe, and to refine the mental side of his game. His composure in the face of disappointment became a hallmark of his character. The breakthrough finally came in February 2022 at the Rotterdam Open. With his back against the wall, Félix delivered a career-defining performance, defeating top-ranked opponents and finally lifting his first ATP title. It was a cathartic moment, not just for him, but for his fans who had been waiting to celebrate alongside him. That victory unlocked a new level of confidence. Over the months that followed, Félix went on an incredible streak, claiming titles in Florence, Antwerp, and Basel. By the end of the year, he had broken into the world's top 10, climbing to a career-high ranking of number 6. Alongside his individual success came national glory. In late 2022, Félix led Team Canada to its first-ever Davis Cup triumph. Facing Australia in the final, he delivered under pressure, winning crucial matches that sealed the historic title. For Canadian tennis, it was a moment to remember. For Félix, it was proof that he could rise to the occasion not only for himself but for his country. The Grand Slams also provided unforgettable milestones. At the 2021 US Open, Félix made his first major semifinal, knocking out higher-seeded opponents and showing resilience in long battles. Though he fell to eventual champion Daniil Medvedev, that run firmly established him as a Grand Slam contender. It was no longer a question of if Félix could make deep runs on the sport's biggest stages, but when he would finally break through to a final. Olympic glory and 2025 resurgence. Then came the Olympics, a stage larger than tennis itself. At the 2024 Paris Games, Félix competed with pride and determination. In singles, he advanced to the semifinals, narrowly missing out on a medal after a heartbreaking loss. But he wasn't done. Partnering with Gabriela Dabrowski in mixed doubles, Félix secured a bronze medal, making history as only the second Canadian to ever win an Olympic tennis medal. It was a moment of pride for him, his family, and the entire nation, and it reinforced his status as one of Canada's premier athletes. Yet success often comes with setbacks. The year 2023 had been one of struggle, injuries, and dips in form threatened to derail the momentum he had built. For the first time, whispers circulated that perhaps the hype around Félix had been overblown. Was he destined to remain just outside the circle of true greats? Félix answered those doubts in emphatic fashion in 2025. He started strong, winning titles in Adelaide and Montpellier, rediscovering both his rhythm and his confidence. The real statement, however, came at the 2025 US Open. There, Félix produced some of the best tennis of his career, storming past world number 3 Alexander Zverev in a thrilling quarterfinal. It was his first win over a top 5 opponent at a slam, and it signaled that he was ready to challenge the very best. Félix advanced all the way to the semifinals, reminding the world that he remained a force on the biggest stages. On the court, Félix is the model of a modern athlete. Standing 6 feet 4 inches, he combines explosive power with graceful movement. His serve is one of his deadliest weapons, often followed by a heavy, penetrating forehand that can end points in an instant. But it's not just his shots that define him, it's his demeanor. Calm, composed, and respectful, Félix has earned the nickname the gentleman of tennis. Where others thrive on fire and intensity, Félix thrives on discipline and poise. He rarely loses his temper, even in the toughest moments, and that quiet strength commands respect from fans, commentators, and fellow players alike. By age 25, Félix had already lived through the highs and lows of professional tennis, from the frustration of near misses, to the ecstasy of titles, to the pride of representing his nation on the grandest stages. But what makes his story most compelling is that it still feels unfinished. His best years physically, mentally, and professionally are just beginning. For Félix Auger-Aliassime, the journey has never been about shortcuts or instant success. It has been about resilience, growth, and the belief that every setback is a step toward something greater. With his prime years ahead of him, the tennis world waits eagerly to see if he can take that final step, lifting a Grand Slam trophy and etching his name among the game's legends. One thing is clear, his story is still being written. Wedding and personal life. Félix's personal life has also drawn interest. In 2024, he married his longtime partner Nina Ghaibi, an equestrian rider with roots in Croatia and Bosnia. Their relationship had been private for years, but their wedding was a celebration shared among close family and friends, symbolizing a new chapter in his life. Nina has often been seen supporting Félix from the stands, and together they represent one of the most admired young couples in tennis. Cars and real estate. Like many top athletes, Félix has developed a taste for luxury, but always in a measured, understated way that reflects his personality. His car collection includes a sleek Porsche 911 Carrera, a Tesla Model X for everyday drives, and a Range Rover Sport for comfort and versatility. He has also been spotted behind the wheel of an Audi RS7, combining elegance with speed. When it comes to real estate, Félix maintains a residence in Monaco, like many tennis professionals, giving him access to world-class training facilities and a central hub for the European tour. He also owns a modern apartment in Montreal, keeping a strong connection to his Canadian roots. His properties reflect his lifestyle, practical for his career, but stylish and contemporary, much like Félix himself. Philanthropy and humanitarian work. Beyond tennis and lifestyle, Félix has shown a deep commitment to giving back. Through his #FAPoints4Change initiative with BNP Paribas, he donates money for every point he wins to support educational programs in Togo, his father's homeland. His project has already helped fund classrooms, scholarships, and opportunities for children in need. In 2023, he received the ATP's Arthur Ashe Humanitarian Award in recognition of this work. Félix Auger-Aliassime's journey is still unfolding. He has already achieved what many dream of: ATP titles, Davis Cup triumph, an Olympic medal, a beautiful wedding, and a lifestyle marked by both success and humility. But his greatest goal remains ahead: a Grand Slam title. At 25, he's entering the prime years of his career. With his talent, discipline, and global appeal, Félix has everything it takes to join tennis's elite champions. The only question is, when will he take that final step? One thing is certain: Félix Auger-Aliassime is no longer just the young prodigy. He is a leader, a role model, and one of the most exciting players of his generation. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tennis stories.